a good offense.
Win $1,000 right here, right now on KTIK. The word today is vault. Head to the vault. Text that to 95819. That number, that word, Weathertight Roofing, Prater on the Ballgame. Welcome our YouTube audience this on our YouTube channel. And if you aren't subscribed to our YouTube channel, you guys should. We do stuff every single day and more to come. There's a little tease right there. Prater, is there a tease if I say, all right, Boise State's had a ton of players play in the National Football League?
Yes, sir.
60, 70, 50, right around there. Who had the best NFL career? And we'll get to the calls. I know you guys are holding. We can line some more up. We're asking you who you think had the best NFL career from Boise State football players. And that's just all in all your career. Now, you can pick apart and say, well, their prime years, or they went to Pro Bowls or at an All-Pro and they did all this, and here's their career. And it's tough for us, even though I never saw this man play a football game in my life. But I can certainly see the accomplishments and go to Canton, Ohio, and find a bust there for Dave Wilcox. Prater, it's really hard for us not to just say, okay, let's be obvious. Dave Wilcox had the best career of any Boise State player. And Dave Wilcox played at Boise Junior College.
We're about to have a pretty good debate here, and it's going to start with number 2 because Dave Wilcox is by far the best. And I don't care if it's BJC. I don't care if it was the 1960s. I don't care if it's the 2025s. As Ballgame said, the only one in the Hall of Fame. He had more All-Pro appearances than any Boise State player. He had more Pro Bowl appearances than anybody. He had more years as a starter than anybody else. If you go into ProFootballReference.com and type in the valuation form where it takes everything into account, he by far had the best career in the NFL coming out of Boise. So for him, it's absolutely Dave Wilcox and what he did. You cannot take away the Pro Football Hall of Fame, the Boise State Hall of Fame, everything that he accomplished. Dave Wilcox is number 1. Ballgame, let's start with number 2.
Yeah, or if we say, hey, let's move the goalposts a little bit.
Fair.
And let's just say, okay, 4-year Boise State players only, right? Kind of more of the common era. The Boise State, the 4-year institution era. So we'll say Dave Wilcox, you're in Canton. We all understand that as a 7-time Pro Bowler, 2-time first-team All-Pro. After that, though, this is where I think it gets interesting. The first guy that jumped in my head today was Ryan Clady, because I thought, okay, well, he was picked early in the first round up until Genty. He was the earliest pick in the history of this program. Twice, he was the first-team NFL All-Pro left tackle. Left tackle is a very important, very valued position in the NFL, and twice in his career, they said he was the best. 1 out of 1 in that. There were a bunch of injuries for Clady. He had 1 year. He missed like the whole damn year. He played 2 games. He had other injuries, Prater, where he didn't play for most of the year when the Jets brought him in. His career at 30 was done, where a lot of linemen can play till they're 38, 39. Look at Samuels in San Francisco right now. But that was the first guy that came in my mind, was Ryan Clady, just because I felt like at his peak, he might have been the best player in the NFL at his position. But again, there's no right or wrong answer. Who'd you go with?
Well, you're waffling. So, did you come up with your top 3 or 4?
I do.
Okay, who are they? You said your first name that came to mind, but you didn't tell me he was number 2 on your list.
Yeah, right. I went with Ryan Clady, and not counting Wilcox.
Mm-hmm.
I went with Ryan Clady, number 1. I went with Doug Martin, number 2. And I went with Kimo von Oelhoffen, number 3. And I could really be talked out of Kimo. You could sell me on Leno. You could sell me on Tank. And you might even be able to sell me on Leighton Vander Esch. There was a point where I could say LVE was I know it wasn't long enough, but you could sell me on that. That was kind of my combine. And those were the 3 I settled with: Clady, Doug, and Kimo.
I went number 2 for me because, again, Wilcox is number 1 on my list by far. Number 2, I went with DeMarcus Lawrence. The longest career, the most amount of money. and lots of other things. He's still playing and still adding chapters to his story. So I think DeMarcus Lawrence, based on a lot of different things, is number 2 for me. Number 3 for me was Darren College. His length of service, only Leno and Wilcox have put in more years as a starter in the National Football League than Darren College. Very dependable. Played a lot of years. He was a starter for 9 consecutive years in the NFL. In terms of what he did. And, he didn't have the all-pro stuff or the Pro Bowl stuff, but he did win a Super Bowl ring. He was a starter. And the way he conducted himself for some of the intangibles, for me, Darren College was number 3. I put Ryan Clady number 4. And then I put Doug Martin number 5 on my list. I love Chemo, but he didn't come anywhere close to me. Charles Leno was really, really good and deserves to be in the top 10, especially for his length of service, his durability, and all that kind of stuff. But he didn't make my top 5, so I went Lawrence, College, Clady, and Martin, or my 1 through 4.
I'm going to agree with Ballgame here and go with Ryan Clady as the, I guess, the number 2 here after Wilcox. I am more of a peak performance guy than a longevity guy when it comes to evaluating careers. And Clady comes right in, as you said, Ballgame, the highest drafted BSUer ever before Ashton Genty this past draft. 2-time first-team All-Pro, 1-time second-team All-Pro, and unfortunately didn't get to play in that Super Bowl, but I guess he still gets a Super Bowl ring with the Broncos. So for me, while the longevity might not be there for Clady, I think at his peak, he was arguably the best left tackle in football. So I'll go with Clady at, we'll call it the number 1 spot. DeMarcus Lawrence, again, high-level pass rusher for quite a while and has the longevity. So I had him as the next guy on my list. And then I did go with Doug Martin because we know that running backs tend to have shorter careers. But Doug Martin, I believe, a 1-time first-team All-Pro as well. So,
he was.
When it comes – and I think you also have to factor in, again, the long lineage of running backs out of Boise State. I think so far we'll see what Ashton Genty can do. But to this point, I think Doug Martin's the most successful BSU running back in the National Football League. So those were my 3 in that order.
Jay Ajayi went to 1 Pro Bowl as well. I think there were 2 Boise State running backs that have been Pro Bowlers. Hopefully Ashton Genty can join that list. Taco Bell Hotline, Tom in Boise. You're first up. Tom, for you, who had the best NFL career as a player from Boise State?
Well, a couple of them came in mind. You mentioned basically all of them, but my first choice was Chemo because he was in there a long time.
Yes,
he was a starter for him. And I mean, he didn't just play and start. I mean, he was disruptive.
I agree with that. Kimo von Oelhoffen in his NFL career, Prater, 190 some odd games.
198, 197, depending on which records you look at. So he's 4th on my list in terms of years as a starter based on Pro Football Reference. It was Wilcox, DeMarcus Lawrence, Darren College, and then Chemo. Those were the 4 Boise State players who've started at least 9 years, the equivalent of 9 years in the NFL.
Yeah. Chemo. I mean, I just looked at that career and I said, okay, he spent 14 years in the NFL career. If I'm Kimo von Oelhoffen, I'm saying, yeah, I had a pretty damn good career and I had a Super Bowl, went to, played in a ton of big games. Like in his career, Kimo von Oelhoffen played in 17 playoff games. Pretty crazy. Taco Bell Hotline. Let's get to Oakland. Don is holding on the line. Don in Oakland, you're on Idaho Sports Talk. What do you have?
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Well, it's a very sad week here, as we all know. I'm not talking about the Mariners. We're talking about the real sadness here. And paying due respects to that, I just want to focus on one position, and that's the running back, because we all know that Dave Wilcox is kind of the ultimate king for our for players in general. While he can hold this position, because I think Janty might overtake him, let's keep our fingers crossed that he does. But, Doug Martin did amazing things beyond Boise State. And it wasn't until I looked it up recently, I saw 3,500 yards rushing in his career, 32 touchdowns, a Pro Bowl. And, we just want to focus on the good things that he did. And I just want to give a shout out to the mental health awareness, and the 988 is the suicide prevention hotline. I know we don't want to insinuate anything, but I'm just saying mental health in general. 988 is that national suicide prevention hotline number. So, in his honor, I just wanted to mention that and give my respects for just a wonderful career at Boise State and in the NFL to the Muscle Hamster, who I just enjoy watching so much. So many good memories watching him and his teammates play through the years there. Didn't really follow his NFL career too much, but certainly at Boise State, just tore it up, and just so many great memories. I want to focus on that.
Great call.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, appreciate you. Dawn in Oakland. Good call there. Prater on the ball game. Keep texting these in. We got a bunch on the Cloverdale Plumbing text line that we'll read throughout the program. Dylan Riley, not just your Mountain West Offensive Player of the Week, but Dylan Riley, well, you better make some room for him in some of the Mountain West record books. Yes, Greg Frank has it. It's the news next on KTIK The Ticket.
This is Idaho Sports Talk with Prater and the Ballgame.